Welcome to the Fit for Success podcast. Brian Semling is an experienced entrepreneur with over 25 years in business. He is the founder and CEO of Blitz Innovation. He has built several brands such as Brian's Toys, a collectible toy business, to several Amazon FBA brands like Strictly Bricks and Clever Creations. His latest adventure is Rovux, a modern athleisure footwear brand which can be found at rovuxfootwear.com. On the podcast, Brian will talk with other entrepreneurs and social media influencers about their entrepreneurial journey, from what it takes to start and run a business to how they may continue to grow their brands and where they see themselves in their businesses in the future. And now, here's your host, Brian Semling.
Welcome to the Fit for Success podcast. I'm Brian Semling. Today, our guest is Derek Warburton, celebrity stylist, the owner of Mr Warburton Media, Mr Warburton Magazine, and Gurus Magazine. Welcome, Derek.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
You bet. Well, it's been great getting to know you here today, and I'd love for you to take a couple minutes to tell our audience about yourself and your business and how you've gotten to where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. I, first and foremost, have been a celebrity stylist for 20 years, working from everyone from Leah Remini to Beyonce to Jessica Alba to Irina Shayk and countless others. And I love it. I wanted to do more, and I wanted to be more of a businessman. So I expanded my styling career into magazines and media. Have been a fashion editor for magazines around the world. And then I guess about 7 years ago, I partnered with a man named Kevin LaPalme, and we did LaPalme magazine together for 7 years. And then in 2019, we kept working together, but I started Mr Warburton magazine and then added on Gurus just recently. And I'm the new editor-in-chief of British Thoughts magazine in London. And it has been so much fun. I love the magazine business. It is not an easy business, but I've used the magazines as a tool to build Mr Warburton Media, which does an array of different things from business consulting to public relations to helping companies create narratives for themselves and reputation management.
Very neat. So it sounds like you've taken kind of a technical skill that you were and are really like one of the best at, working with some of the biggest celebrities, and kind of parlaying that to becoming a business person and into media and so forth, and kind of keeping your toes in a couple different business, keeping some of the original business going, but also expanding and taking on new challenges and opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. You would never expect celebrity stylists to be able to kind of transition more into the business side of it. But, you learn a lot because what no one really realizes that being a celebrity is a business. Yeah. And how do you keep that business going? And again, so much of it is reputation management, and also being able to put yourself out there as a product. And when I started working with experts and doctors and different people in the wellness space, you have to really train them to think like, not only are you a service provider and a healthcare giver and multiple other things within that space, but also now that we're putting you out there, you have become a product, which can turn into physical products, maybe books, maybe skincare, all types of different things, but also you become a product as a brand. And, in the digital space that we live in now and what's really happened in the world, every time I get a phone call from someone needing business advice, and young people, when I do commencement speeches, everything, and it's like, if you conduct yourself like a brand, you will always be successful. Because we hear about all these young people that are acting crazy on social media and doing all these things. And it's like, is that your brand? And if you think of yourself as a brand, you can use that to manipulate in a positive way depending on what that brand is and who you want to be and what you want to be. And, but 10 years ago, no one would even have thought of that, and now in the space we're living in, especially now, when we were talking in our preliminary, it was really, interesting what has happened within the digital space and how much it's growing and how much money potential there really is within that. A TikTok video can make hundreds of thousands of dollars for a company, sometimes millions. And the same thing with Instagram. And so within that, the power of that is enormous. And so being able to be conscious of it, building yourself, your brand, to be conscious of that can also really change the culture and the space that we're in.
I think that's insightful advice, to think of yourself and the way you conduct yourself as a brand is interesting, right? And that's to be consistent and be authentic, I suppose, too, right? So,
right. Well, authenticity is the way forward. That is it. Because people have become very educated now because they're constantly being faced with content, right? And, content has become king. And if your content's not very focused on being as real as possible, they're going to see through it, and that's why a lot of the big brands have made so many changes. Look at Victoria's Secret. I mean, that is the brand that has gone through such a change because they felt that, their sales went way down and they saw the change in the market because real women buy underwear. Real women wear bras, and they're selling this fantasy that is no longer a fantasy because of social media, because of what has happened in the market. Everyone wears underwear. And these women don't want to see these girls that they can never be. Yeah. And that comes back to authenticity. And they've completely changed their strategy. They've completely gone in such a different direction. And that's really positive. And it's really interesting, like years ago, you couldn't get into the Victoria's Secret fashion show. Now, no one wants to see it. It's fascinating and really interesting that what has happened. So that says a lot to the market. And also, it's funny. There were a lot of books that came out right when social media hit, talking about how the service providers like stylists and hair and makeup and all these people are becoming the new celebrities. And that is true. And I can 100% attest to that because the service providers are how you get to be that.
Right.
And so they've all, not just myself, but so many people within my industry have found that to be true. And now their clients want to be in videos with them.
Interesting.
To boost each other's fame and also relevancy. Because, we live in a world of reality stars.
Right.
Right. So it's not like they're actors and they're doing all these. It's reality. So the fame game has played out within that. And also, so many providers and doctors, like look at Dr. Phil. Look what he's been able to do. Look at Dr. Oz running for office. Oh, wow. And, it because of this reality talk situation and everything that's going on out there, it has changed the market so dramatically, hence bringing it back to be your own brand, no matter what you are. And if you're coming out of college and you are starting your own company like you did, being your own brand is so important because it's the beginning.
Yeah.
It's really the beginning of building something greater for yourself and your family.
So as you got going into business, what were some of, and it sounds like maybe the media business, if you want to, go there, is like, what were some of the challenges that you faced that, that you had to overcome along the way?
Some of my challenges, first of all, within the fashion business was definitely income, because that is a very tough business to make money in. And then in the media business was really contacts, and you need contacts in the media business. Thankfully, I've grown that tremendously, and I've seen myself grow and have acknowledged that within myself, that in the last 2 years, really, that my business has completely changed. And the things that we're able to provide are completely different than they were before, whether the magazines that I have the ins with or the magazines I own. And I was telling you in the break, I started Guru's magazine because I wanted to have a periodical that would work for my clients, what I'm trying to help them achieve, and also create an authentic space. The 3 words that I use to describe my company and my magazine, and Guru's magazine specifically, is truth, authenticity, and passion. And that was really important to me. And when I found that space was when things really started to work.
Yeah.
And I hired the people that lived within that space. And everything I did was about that. And even with, going out with clients, it was like, no, this is what we discussed. This is where we're going to go, because success comes from all of those things. And, everyone that I took on is passionate. I'm passionate for them. And we help build a narrative that helps them move forward within their business, helping others. It's like, I always make sure all of my clients do community service because, again, like we were talking about before we got on live, service is a fabulous way forward. And if more companies did service with their employees, it boosts morale. It makes people feel good. It shows the human side of a company, of a business, of an individual, and a personal brand that is really beautiful. And sharing is also a win, and giving is a win. And being able to make people feel good about themselves through all of those channels is a beautiful thing. And I made sure that I helped build that for all of my clients, for sure. And what's great is on my end is the acknowledgement that they get from it, but also at the same time, it lets people see a human side of a company, a business, or an individual business person that you wouldn't normally see because everyone's always selling all the time, and this way it's not a sale. It's something that's really beautiful that people can relate to.
Yeah, it sounds like it's good advice. You're doing good and people get a chance just to see that. And it comes back to people and businesses, maybe not directly, but it comes back to them basically It
does. And you know what? And I know this because of what we've discussed. The long game is so important. And so many people are in for a quick win, but it's really the long game that matters.
Yeah.
And as I've matured in business and also as a human, the long game has become so much more important to me because it's just as good today as it is tomorrow. And if it doesn't happen today, it can still happen tomorrow. Yeah. And I think that a lot of companies really need to see that. Some have. And also individuals in business need to realize that because you can have it all. Anything you want, you can have. You just have to set the game forward, find the focus, and really build towards it. And it's all achievable. I hear all the time about how people feel like there's no way forward. And it's like, no, there is. Here's how. And you just have to really focus and make a decision.
Yeah.
And so many people aren't that focused. And my job is to help my clients and everyone along the way in my space to see that, to help them move forward too.
I like your comments when we talked earlier about people, thinking about their behavior and conduct as part of their brand.
Yes.
That just you yourself are your brand, right? So
for sure.
Just go ahead and explain or elaborate on that.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember years ago always seeing and hearing about people acting a fool on Facebook in the beginning of Instagram, and everyone could see it. And now, people are going on, our employers are going on to social media to look at their potential hires and see how they conduct themselves. Well, that alone says brand, right? And, if you have any hope of having your own business, you have to be your brand. You're the face of your brand, basically, because you're the face of your business.
Yep.
And that wasn't such a focus years ago, pre the complete visibility that we have now. you could be anywhere and somebody could turn a camera on you. They could turn a video on you, and then boom, you're clocked. They see you. And it's really important that you have, listen, you can do whatever you want in the privacy of your life. But if you're out and about, you can't be surprised. You know, it's like, because if you act like that, they're going to get you. And they really are. And so that's why, especially when I do commencements or high schools and whatnot, and it's like, don't forget what the future is going to hold for you. And, you know, not being a college graduate myself, which we had discussed, and going straight into business, I didn't have a choice, because my business is what I am. And so much of what I do, and especially if you're a service provider, you are 100% your brand, you know, and you have to really conduct yourself like that. And my job is to help people do that. But within my own community, I know what I can do, what I can't do, what I can get away with within my own people. You know, I don't go on social media and cry about my life. I have the same problems everyone else has. I go on mine and make people feel good. Yeah. And I go and have a good time. And it's really important for me to tell, you know, clients and everyone, it was like, have fun. You know, I took a client last week and I said to them, this is the long game. This is not a bill. This is the power of doing business, number one. And number two, you have to figure out a way to make this wonderful for yourself. Because so much of my career, all I've ever heard is, I can't work for free anymore. And when is the hustle going to end? And the advice I always give to people who ask me those questions is that you have to get into a place mentally where you're okay with it all. You have to realize the hustle never ends. You have to make the hustle a game. You have to make the hustle part of your life. And you have to make the process a joy. Yeah. And whatever you need to do to adjust it, to make that part of your joy and your passion, is what you need to do. And I tell everyone that's the best advice I've ever gotten. It's the best advice I've ever given. You know, there's a wonderful comedian who I was doing something with on CBS, very famous guy. I don't want to say his name, but he informed me one day in a meeting. He was like, love the game, because you're going to win the game and then be terrified to lose the game once you win it. So it doesn't end ever, ever, never, never, ever will you get out of that. So within that, you have to find a place for yourself. And those are the people that are successful. People that find the place of the things that are going to always be happening. You have to find a comfort zone within it, and then you can move forward, you know, and then hire people around you that are better than you. I'm constantly surrounded by people that are better than me, and I have absolutely no problem with it whatsoever. And a lot of people find that as a weakness, and I think it's a strength. Yeah. It's recognition of your own strengths, which is positive self-esteem. I know what I'm great at, and I'm good at a lot. But what I'm bad at, nope. I'm not even opening the door. Yeah. You hire someone, hence Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah. All of those concepts come into play, where it's like, I'm not a good cleaner, bring someone in. But I'm also not good at maybe an accounting situation or taxes or whatever. So I surround myself with people that can handle things for me so I can flourish within my own thing. And, you know, something else that I've noticed in media that's really gone on, and on mass media levels, everyone wants to bash someone because they're not good at something. Constantly, whether it's governmental, on a political level, constantly, all you hear about in the news is how bad they are at something. And I was like, well, I would prefer to celebrate what they're good at. Yeah. And let's talk about what they've done and what they're great at. And I don't bash people for not being as good as me in something. And I don't bash them for being bad at something. I was like, I get on the phone and I say, what are you comfortable and what are you good at? And let me find a place in my own organization where we're both going to win. Yeah. and then keep going forward, because I see the best in everyone and I want to see the best and I want everyone to win. And that is such a huge space to grow within, especially when you're trying to build a business and a narrative for your business, because when you want everyone to win, they do. And then you surround yourself with people that are better than you, hence all the other things that I just discussed.
Rovox, where fashion meets fitness.
I love that. Where do you see your business going over the next 5 or 10 years? What do things look like going forward? You've made some pivots over the last couple of years with COVID and so forth. And
for sure.
Go ahead.
Building what I have, the magazines are not big money makers, but they also are fabulous tools. And I see what they're good for and not what they're bad for, right. But those tools have really helped. The doors those tools have opened, I couldn't have done it. Yeah. And so, I want the magazines to grow. And Mr. Warburton is just more fashion. It's fun. It's such a great space for my constant collaborators to work with. And I have figured out how to build that narrative. We have worked with everyone from People magazine above and beyond, telling amazing stories. And because at the end of the day, if you're in communications, you're a storyteller. You right now are a storyteller. And being able to build that story and tell that story is so fulfilling for myself. And it's been fulfilling for so many others. And within my business, it has helped so much because it gives me a strong voice. And so my goals are to keep building that voice.
Yep.
To pivot more from what I'm doing. I have some ideas for stores. I have some ideas for television. And, I'm going to continue to build the television part of my life. I've done so much television in my past, and I want that to come back in. I'm acting a little bit. On April 7th, I'm winning the Style Icon of the Year award, which is phenomenal, in Miami on the Fontainebleau, which is so cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And, but again, it's a win. I take the joy of it all and use everything that I gather and spin it into other things. And so I want to just keep growing and building the business and enjoying what I'm doing. Because again, at the end of the day, I'm really an artist, and I have turned my business into artistry and the way I conduct it and how I live it, and make it really creative, because I don't have classic training. I don't need to. People come to me for what I can do, and I can do very interesting things in a different way. And I think differently than most people. And so I just want to keep that developing. Obviously, building more magazines and keeping the narratives going.
How do you build or work fitness and wellness into your busy life? What are some of the things that you do to?
I box probably 4 days a week in the mornings. Yeah, I'm up very early. The great thing about living in LA is that it's an early city. You're going to dinner at 7. In New York, you're going to dinner at 10. It's a much different lifestyle. So here, my life has been great because I'm in bed early. And so I'm up sometimes around 4 or 5 because I have international employees. And so I'm talking to the Philippines, I'm talking to Africa, I'm talking to Moscow, not Africa. I have someone in Nairobi. And so I just have to balance all of that. And it's late in the day for them when I'm just waking up. And so we bang out a lot early. Then I go box, come back, it's slower, and then we're back together midday. And so it's really worked for me. It's been great. And then I hike a lot. Yesterday I did 14 miles, I guess. And so I'm a hiker and a boxer mostly. I love Orange Theory. I do a lot of Orange Theory, but the boxing's really been more of a focus lately.
Do you get, you don't look like you're beat up. Do you get hurt, or could you get hurt boxing? I would think you could, but.
No, because I do more boxing classes. And so it's more bag work.
Yeah.
Kind of
it's
workout.
not competitive.
No, but I've taken some private lessons, and yes, that would be an issue if I got beat up a lot because a lot of my business is about appearance. But no, I just have fun with it. I really like it. It was such an interesting transition. It was a friend that actually was a PR rep for the organization. And I went and I was like, wow, this is really working. And I'd always been more cardio, and it was just a different idea for me to go in and do it. And I really enjoyed it. And so I've just been going ever since.
That's neat. So
yeah. Are you a runner?
I am. Yeah. I run every day for about the last 14, 15 months or so. And before that, I've been running for the last several years, but yeah, I run every day. And typically with my son, who's 11, he's got big aspirations as a runner. He's in 6th grade, and my daughter is a 9th grader, and I'm helping to coach the distance on the track team and also help on the cross country team. So,
oh, I love that. That's amazing.
That keeps me busy. I love running myself, and I love helping, the kids to, kind of become their best selves, and not just my kids, but the broader.
Yeah. No, I love it. I started running a lot during COVID because in California, we were so locked down.
Yeah.
It was such a different experience for us because of also the riots. And I live right off of Melrose. So what everyone saw on the news was my coffee shop and, places I went every morning. Yeah, it was it was a really scary time for us. And so, I would do and we were completely locked out. We were the last place open in America. We didn't have restaurants until last May. We were really shut down. We're still in masks.
Yeah.
We have to wear a mask everywhere still.
You're serious?
And yeah, crazy. And so what I would do is, because we would all get in trouble for really leaving the house, I would be up and out the door at 6, and I would jog from my house to Rodeo Drive because I was running through Beverly Hills, which felt safer, but I mean, we got attacked here. So not really. But it was a beautiful run, and I would run 4.5 to 5 miles a day. And then I would, come home and be home before 7 in the morning, which was great. But it changed my entire body. I lost 30 pounds.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great. No, I love to run.
I love running, and just been doing some indoor track with my son, a few indoor track meets, and I just broke 5 minutes for the 1 mile yesterday. So I'm kind of proud of that.
Wow, that's fast.
So I was like 4:59 and some change, basically. I was like, I'll take that. So
that's very, very good.
I started the season about 3 months ago at about 5:09, and that 10 seconds is not easy, but it was fun. It was a great season, and super excited to kind of be able to put that together, basically. So I'm still a little bit ahead of my 6th grader. But I think he's going to probably be beating me within the next year. Like he's moving, basically. So
I love it. How fun.
So we've had a great conversation here today. It's been great getting to know each other. What are there any questions that I haven't asked that you wish I would have?
I think we really covered it. I mean, I again just have been really concentrating on just positive, happy narrative, within the magazines, within my clients, helping them spread, education. There's so much false information out there that it's really important that we get the real news and the real positive things out. And so people can really make the right choices in their life and world. And I just want to help people grow, and make them feel good about themselves. And tell stories that are not necessarily always told.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, giving a voice. I think when you asked me earlier about the next steps in my success, it's really, I think, giving people a voice.
Yeah. I think there is, without question, a lot of power in stories and storytelling. And so I think kind of taking that and just, continuing to advance with that idea and that positive push. I think that's great. And focusing, like you said, on the positives. I mean, all of us aren't good. No one's good at everything. We're all of us, each of us that are good at some things, maybe lots of things. There's still plenty of things we're just awful at, right? And that's not a criticism. That's like, work together, find somebody who's good at those things, right? We're good at, so yeah, accentuating the positives and focusing on that. I think there's a lot of value in that. And yeah, so
100%. And I think for myself, it's funny. I have just always really focused on being a storyteller, and that can come in different forms of communication. But being a storyteller, I think, is the way of the future. And I think so many people have beautiful stories to tell.
yeah.
And I love being able to tell those stories on one end. And I love being able to give people the chance to tell their story. And I think that that's the way forward for myself and for my organization, is that I want people to be able to tell their story and to help them tell other people's stories as well.
Yeah, you can amplify your influence and your ability to help others really by teaching them about storytelling and how they can impact others. And it starts with being a good role model and setting an example, and then, kind of proactively putting it out there. I think that there's a lot of power in that, a lot of positive influence, a lot of
100%. 100%. I love it.
Well, Derek, it's been so nice to have you on the podcast today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Brian. I loved it. It was great. It was really great.
Thank you very much. I'm Brian Semling, and this is the Fit for Success podcast.